over, and we'll never see them again. That theory was popularized by W.F. Albright, very famous archaeologist working in the 20s, 30s, 40s, even into the 50s. In fact, he's called the father of biblical archaeology. He was a brilliant man, but some of his theories have now been shown to be incorrect, and this is one of them. He popularized this idea that the cities were located there beneath the waters of that southern basin. Well, that southern basin is now dry land. That whole area has been examined and surveyed and so on. There's absolutely no ruins there whatsoever. In fact, it's a lousy place to build a city because that's where their agricultural fields were. It's very hot there in the valley south of the Dead Sea, and you would want to build your city up on higher ground where you'd catch some of the breezes and it would be a bit cooler, and that's in fact where the actual sites were found over here on the east side of the valley, up on kind of ridges overlooking the valley below. But it's interesting as you read various Bible encyclopedias and dictionaries and so on, you will still yet today read this theory that the cities of the plain are located beneath the waters of the southern basin of the Dead Sea, and that's simply not the case at all. Now here's two pictures taken from Masada, just to give you an idea of how dramatic this level has changed over the years. The one on the left, I'm not sure exactly when it was taken, maybe in the 50s or so, but we're looking over across the Lausanne Peninsula right here, and you can see that southern basin full of water at that time. The picture on the right I took, 1990 maybe, and there's the Lausanne, but it's dry land. There's the southern edge now of the Dead Sea, and no more southern basin. There's water down there, but those are artificial evaporating pools to extract the minerals of the Dead Sea. Both the Jordanians and the Israelis are heavily involved in evaporating the water from the Dead Sea to get those minerals. It's a huge industry down there. So what they have done is they've dug canals. Here's the canal, bringing the water from the northern part down into those evaporating pools down to the south. Now, the sites that we're going to be talking about are located here along this eastern edge of that great valley area. The northernmost is Babadra, then the site of Numira, then Safi, Thifa, and Khanazir. These are the Arabic names. And we want to have a shot here at trying to identify these places. And we're going to begin with this middle one right here, because there's been a long, long tradition that this is the location of Zoar, right there. Now, if you remember the story of when the angels went to Sodom to warn Lot that the Lord was going to destroy these cities, that the angels said to Lot, flee to the mountains because the city's going to be destroyed. And Lot said, no, I don't want to go to the mountains. Let me flee to this little town, Zoar. And so that's the place that Lot fled to, and we're told the angel said, well, okay, Lot, go ahead, go to Zoar. And Zoar was spared. The other 4 places were destroyed. Now on the right is a very famous mosaic. It's the floor of a church in Jordan at a place called Madaba. And so it's called the Madaba Map. It's a mosaic of the Holy Land in the Byzantine period. This dates to maybe AD 600 or so. Very, very fascinating map. And the purpose of this map was to locate all the holy places, all the churches and various other holy places throughout the land. Now, unfortunately, a lot of it is destroyed, gone. but a good bit of it still remains. So we have the Dead Sea here. We have the Jordan River coming in. Here's Jerusalem over here. We've been talking about Jericho. If anybody knows Greek, all the writing, of course, is in Greek. Right here, Yaricho with a palm tree right there. So there's a lot of neat things there on the map. But what we want to look at is right over here is Zoar, right there, not far from this, I think it's the Zered River coming in to that area. And so the map places Zoar down at the southern end of the Dead Sea. So this kind of gives us a starting point for identifying the sites. And then just to the east, right there, is the sanctuary of Saint Lot. And this was a Byzantine church and, in fact, monastery that was built there not far from Zoar. And, again, this was the traditional place where Lot lived, because we read in the Bible that when Lot fled to Zoar, he didn't actually go into the town. He was afraid. For some reason, he was afraid of the people in Zoar, so it says he went up into the hills. So he ended up going to the mountains anyway. I can't quite figure out this guy Lot. So he went up into the mountains, and he lived in a cave with his two daughters. And so there's a traditional location right here, and a church was built over it. But nobody knew where that place was until about 1990. And then it was discovered. And in the course of the 1990s, the place has been excavated. So, again, that helps us to locate where Zoar was. And so we can place Zoar right here at modern-day Safi. And as I say, that's the traditional place. And Zoar was spared, and Zoar, in fact, continued to be a city where people lived on the centuries that followed the destruction of the other four cities. And it's mentioned a number of times in the Old Testament, and we have references outside the Bible to this place in the Hellenistic period, Roman period, and so on. So that continued to exist as a city, in fact, right up until modern times. All right, now how about the other places? Well, if we look at Numerah here, the Arabic name is very similar to Gomorrah. We have, of course, you just look at the consonants because the vowels weren't in the original written language. They were added later. So in the modern name, we have the vowels NMR, and in the ancient name of Gomorrah, we have this GMR. In reality, it isn't a G. In the Hebrew, it's an ayin, but in the translations, they stuck a G in there. So we have ayin MR to compare with NMR. And so those two names are very similar, and quite possibly the Amor is the way it should be pronounced, Amor, Gomorrah, just changed to the N over time. So we can make a linguistic connection between the modern name and the